again, Broncos country.
Really excited to chop up some Broncos with you all this week.
Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS.
Favorite time of the week, but not for the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs. So grab your brews in your fantasy league. We got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that mile high Broncos country.
Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news. What is up, Broncos country? Welcome to another episode of Bourbon Broncos No BS, where tonight I'm going to be drinking heavily because the Broncos currently have less than a 10% chance of making the playoffs. And that game was painful, guys. That was incredibly painful to watch, to be at. I don't know about you, but I'm not happy.
I tried to tell you. I've been trying to tell
you. Being at the game. Once again, David is correct. I understand why Jared is late because his optimism once again got the better of him.
Needs to cry it out a little bit first. I understand too. Yeah, go numb, Broncos country. It's I've been doing it since about week 6. It feels better.
It feels better.
Yeah, there's still lots of interesting things to watch for the rest of the season, but yeah, like you said, Kevin, I think we can put the playoff conversation pretty safely to bed at this point.
Well, now with that, the New York Times does have a little interactive tool. Yeah, Rob, he is late again. But Jared will be here.
Speaking of little interactive tools, yes, Jared will be here.
I was going to say, that was a nice segue.
Nah, I love you, Jared. They have somewhere you can select your team and, hey, if we win these games, whatever, like what are our playoff chances at the end of the season? Well, the Broncos, if they win this week, will go from about an 8% chance right now to 15%. If they win against the Chargers, they go up to about 33%. And then if they beat the Cowboys, the Chiefs, they will jump up to over 90% chance of making the playoffs. So the Broncos' destiny kind of still is in their hands. However, I think I am definitely going to be taking the David approach in that the Broncos clearly just do not seem to be showing any sense of give a fuck factor.
Yeah. If you expect and believe the Broncos are going to win out at this point, I'd really like to be having some of whatever you're drinking or smoking, because wow, you're clearly on a plane that I cannot reach.
I want to see what Jared has to say. We're not mathematically eliminated. So
I think you just said what Jared was going to.
Yeah, he'll get the calculator out though. He'll get the calculator. Yeah,
he will.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we get to 10 wins, what you're saying is we have a really good chance of making the playoffs, basically. Yep. And if we don't get to 10 wins, we have a 33% chance, I think is what I heard.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep.
Basically what we've been saying.
Yeah.
So we're right back at it. Great. Awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah. Now, there is a little known rule that's effective for this year only. And do appreciate everyone commenting so far. We'll get to your comments here in a little bit. But this year, teams that fire their coaches can start interviewing potential head coaches with 2 weeks left in the season. And so far, the only two teams eligible for that are the Raiders and the Jaguars. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. If the Broncos were to lose this week, is it worth it to try to start interviewing coaches 2 weeks early? But that means you let Fangio go 2 weeks early.
Interesting. That's very interesting. I'm assuming that has to do with the extended season.
I
Right?
believe so.
I had not heard that before. So,
Yep.
I don't know. I guess
Read that today.
Comes down. I mean, if we lose this week, we are all but eliminated from the playoffs if we aren't already. So maybe that's a point where Peyton says, "Hey, maybe we can get ahead of this thing." That's interesting, Kevin. Very
Right.
interesting.
It's just a little competitive advantage. I mean, those other two, at least those other two teams will be interviewing people.
Right.
And now that they still can't accept any position before the end of the year, right? So other than you get the jump on talking to them and saying, here's what we'd offer you, or whatever the case is, or showing that initial interest. And David's gone. He's like, screw this. But yeah, so that is just something to watch for. It could be a very interesting thing to see. Now, me personally, I don't think that that's what the Broncos are going to do. I don't see us. You're good, man. I don't see us getting rid of Fangio just to interview some coaches, potential coaches, 2 weeks early.
I think from what we've seen from Peyton so far, I really think we're going to have to mathematically be eliminated for him to not give this coaching staff every chance to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, we're right on the edge. We are right on the edge.
We are right there.
But let's go to the game a little bit. And, everybody who wants to hear Rob and I and our take on the post-game podcast, make sure you go check that out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. It's also up on YouTube as well. But want to get your thoughts all on what you saw from the game.
Just the same old Broncos, the team that can't get out of their own way. And, it's a long season. Let's face it. There's time for a team that hangs around in the standings to get it together eventually, even kind of later in the season. And that's, I think, where all this optimism was coming from Broncos country, especially surrounding this week. And I get it. If you did beat Cincinnati, you were in the driver's seat for one of those wild card spots. Yeah. But it's just, the same old Broncos that couldn't get out of their own way, that couldn't capitalize on mistakes made, couldn't capitalize on a great defensive performance, couldn't get the offense going, and made just enough clock management mistakes, and that's on Vic Fangio, to put yourself, really take yourself out of a position to come back and win the game at the end. So it's just kind of those same old things that we've been talking about all season: lack of consistency and self-inflicted wounds.
Right.
Yeah, more of the same. Offense not showing up, being in a game. We only lost by 5. We're going to look back at the end of the season, assuming we don't make the playoffs. We're going to look at this game. We're going to look at that Browns game as probably the two that was the difference of making the playoffs and not.
Right. Yep. I'd add the Steelers game to that mix as well.
Yeah, and there's certainly other ones that you could throw in there too.
The Chiefs game.
Steelers, Chiefs.
Sure. Eagles.
And and it's back to what David says. The biggest shame is just wasting this defense that's really played at a high level. I know early on at times they weren't looking like that same defense we saw in the past couple of years, but the last half of the season they've really turned it on, and it's a shame, honestly, that we're wasting it.
Yeah.
We got a special guest up here in Orange Weekly. I can't tell who it is. The lights on his shirt are flashing too bright. I can't tell who it is. Special guest. Who are you? It's Jared. Sorry, man.
What's going on, guys?
No. You're gonna reset your mic and then give me a thumbs up because you sound like a robot. So reset your mic and then I'll bring you back on. We'll try this again.
The cheap showiness of Team Visor is once again not paying dividends.
No, we're just
not paying dividends.
To the sponsor fund and get Jared here a new mic. Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
I know they didn't see it, but I flipped you off really hard when you hit
sounded
me.
terrible.
I just want to make sure these guys saw it. I want to make sure that the audience knows I was very angry that you took me off, even though I sounded like a robot. I may be a Decepticon, but at least I can play. Cheers, gentlemen, to a very difficult week and a lot to talk about. Man, this is
Cheers you guys to talking about Jared's optimism.
Amen.
Yeah, that's it. That's 100% it. My optimism is over. 4% chance. While I don't have my calculator with me here in New Mexico, 4% chance is Not good. Not good. No, it doesn't equal boobs.
It's as bad as your connection right now, Jared.
It's as bad as your mic.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's doing it
not
again.
going great.
Fucking horse shit. I'm back up.
All right. Well, Jared's upset, and rightfully so, at a lot of things. I understand that. And Broncos country's is gonna be too.
Now, I want to ask you guys, and we'll get Jared in here. Travis asked this question last night on the Orange Weekly After Dark show. Why does Fangio do the things that he does? Why does he save timeouts in some places where he shouldn't, and then use timeouts in other places that he shouldn't? Why does he do what he does?
Staple. It's a staple to his coaching over the last 3 years. I thought it was getting better, and clearly not. I don't get it. At the end of the first half, what are we doing there? 2 minutes to go, and we're just wasting clock, and settling for a 50-something yard field goal. Mm-hmm. Honestly, and that could have been the difference in the game.
Sure.
I mean, that was a 6-point swing right there. Left 9 seconds on the clock or something like that. Enough for them to get 20 yards and a field goal. That swing necessarily isn't because of the timeout usage, but it's just it puts your offense in a weird spot when you're taking plays out of the playbook when you're using up the clock like that and not using the timeouts appropriately. And then the second half, that one blown timeout, calling it too soon, would have saved us 40 seconds there at the end, which again, Jared, you can speak to this as an offensive coach, but you're taking plays out of the playbook when you're starting a drive at a minute 20, a minute 10, as opposed to 2 minutes, not having a timeout either way, right?
The problem with that whole thing was that they didn't know what they wanted to do. Yeah. And I think that was the worst part. They didn't know if they wanted to run it out and go into half tied up, or if they wanted to try to get the 6 points or 7 points. And I think a lot of people are mistaken and angry at that alone. With that much time on the clock, why not drive and try to score? Like any other team in the NFL would try to get that score, but this team is like, okay, let's go into half tied at 3. Mm-hmm. So, but it looked like, one play it looked like, okay, we're going to let the clock run down, so we're going to go in at half. And the next play we get a first down, they're like, okay, timeout. It's like, okay, now you want to try? It just seems so inconsistent. I feel like part of this is on Vic and part of this is on Shermer, I think, but part of it's like, okay, what's the plan here? Like, we have the ball with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. What's our goal? Is our goal to drive down and kick a field goal? Then good. We have a playbook to do that. Is our goal to get down and try to score a touchdown? Then we have the playbook to do that. Is our goal to go out of half and we'll just run the ball out, run the clock out? But the problem is like all three of those things seemed to happen in a minute and a half that we had the ball, and it just didn't look consistent. That was the biggest issue I had. And then of course it didn't help to turn it around and then drive down the same way, get a big play, and then kick a field goal. That was just the worst. Right.
So for me, when you're talking all week about how this is a playoff game and how we as them players are going to take us seriously as a playoff game, and the destiny's in our hands. Any team fighting to get into the playoffs, or any team that's in the playoffs in that 2-minute situation with 3 timeouts, would be going for a touchdown. Yeah. Mentally, culturally, they'd be at least trying to go for the touchdown. Now, if you fall short of the touchdown, you're probably going to be in pretty good field goal range. Yeah. But it seemed to me like their whole intent was, like you're saying, Jared, which one are we doing? But at the most, it's, well, if we kind of get to the 40, that'll be good enough for us. Yeah. And to me, that
one big play.
Explains.
We made one big catch over the middle, or I think it was on the outside. I don't remember if it was. I think it was Tim Patrick. I think Tim Patrick made a big catch, got inbounds, and that's when they decided, like, okay, timeout. We have a chance to do this. The problem is like, how do you not have the confidence to just push it? Like, why not try? Why not push the envelope a little bit? And that's where we're at. And we saw it. What was it, 2 weeks ago with 4 fourth down tries, where it's kind of like, okay, we have to go for this. I would have expected more of that in this game specifically, but it just seemed like it was like, all right, we're just gonna go with the status quo, and I think there's nothing wrong here. What's the meme with everything burning behind you? It's like,
this is fine.
Yeah, and that's how I felt the coaching staff was in that game.
Mm-hmm. To me, it felt like they were coaching for the field goal, not the touchdown, for sure. Yep. And to me, it just seems like you're coaching. I mean, this is probably over dramatic, but you're coaching scared. Like, you're coaching not to lose the game as opposed to coaching to win the game. It's honestly it's felt like that for a while. But
Mhm.
I think we didn't see as much fourth downs this time because we were still in this game pretty much until the end. Like it was
Mhm.
still always a one-score game, and then our offense just never got it going.
Right. Nope, completely agreed. Richie, how you doing, man? Glad you're here. Yes, Jared is rocking the. I think it's a great Christmas sweater. It's a great
I
ugly
love this
Christmas
thing.
sweater. I am jealous
love
of it. That is for sure.
Not only does it light up, but it's also got Bluetooth, so I can rock random music as I walk around. It's amazing.
It's whoever invented those things. I got to give them the tip of the hat, man. I mean, props to you. Okay, kind of speaking about coaches, Daniel here wants to know our opinion. Who's worse, Josh McScumbag or incompetent Fangio? And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. I think we're all in agreement. McScumbag is definitely by far
Still
the
worse.
worst option.
If I get a vote, that's mine.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still a chance. Let's think about this. The way that our defense is playing, there's still a chance that Fangio stays. But that's a long-term conversation that we could talk about. But the way the defense is playing, imagine under a different defensive coordinator with a different offensive coach. You know, our real problems on one side of the ball. Well, two sides of the ball, if you count special teams as a side.
Yeah.
I
do.
You know, the timeout things. That's the kind of stuff that's going to hurt him in the long run.
The fact that we're 1-22 under Fangio when we're losing at halftime, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a big mark against them.
Yeah.
1-22. You know.
Yep.
Whatever about the challenges, the timeouts, the game mismanagement, over and over again. You know, yeah, you'd say, yeah, he runs a solid defense, but when it comes to the head coaching things that we need a head coach to be proficient in, 3 years in, we don't see any improvement from him whatsoever. And what's to say another fourth or fifth year is going to do it?
I'd hate to say that we didn't see any improvement. Just a little bit of backing. I'm not going to say that we didn't see any improvement. Now,
we saw some improvement.
His first year was awful.
It was bad.
We saw some
His
improvement.
clock management and some of it. Yeah, we saw some improvement, including in the defense. But
let's see this. He's still in the lower third of the league in terms of how I'd rank coaches.
I felt like coming into this season, I feel like there was marked improvements last year.
Bless you.
In timeout usage, that kind of stuff, strategic kind of portion of the game. And then this year, it's like we totally reverted back to year one again. It feels like I don't know. Especially with the challenges, it blows my mind every time he throws a challenge play.
Yeah. There you go. We got some polite fans here. Appreciate all you guys. Hey, everyone, make sure you hit that share button for us. Make sure you're hitting the like button for us. Definitely appreciate all of you watching. Okay, we do also have some comments about quarterbacks and whatnot, and I think we're all feeling that this point in the season where the Broncos are at, a lot of people are starting to look to next year. The rumors are starting to fly. Where's the first one? Talking about, the chance of Russell Wilson coming to Denver. I know the big one is Aaron Rodgers, but just to touch on this just a second for Jerry here, what are your thoughts on that? Jared looks like he's in actual pain.
It's just the same conversation over and over.
It
and
is.
Not just this year. I'm talking like 5 years in a row. This is just getting it's so frustrating. Will we get a veteran? Are we going to draft? What are we going to do? Because we have a lot of other places that we could probably draft, specifically with injuries and what happens in the offseason. A lot of free agents this offseason. A lot of free agents. And we'll get into that probably a little bit later in the season. But as far as Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers still isn't off the table. A couple of these guys that are big-time guys that we'll probably have for another 4 years, kind of in a Peyton Manning type role where we only have them for the end of their career, but they're still playing excellent football. The problem right now is with the coaching staff does not have faith in Drew Lock, and I'll tell you what, I don't either. And here's the problem. Nope. And just have the conversation. Yeah. We get that breath of fresh air, or that breath when we take a big deep breath when he comes in. Teddy Bridgewater goes out and we're like, here we go again. We all at the Chargers game did the exact same thing. We just looked at each other like, fuck. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So now it's like, okay, here we go again. And then he goes and he throws some darts. I mean, he's throwing some really good timing routes. He's throwing really good over the middle routes. And you're like, okay, Drew Lock learned something. And then he does the fumble, which he's just carrying it like a freaking bread basket, like he's bringing it to grandma. And I don't understand, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he has the hustle to try to finish it up. David, you're going to say something smart. Go ahead.
No, you're right. What's worse to me than that fumble, and that fumble was bad enough. What's worse to me is his process on the last drive of the game. You've got first down and 10. Okay, holding penalty backs you up to first down and 20. You throw over the middle incomplete on that play, and it could have easily been picked. Second down, then you throw another ball that's your receiver can't get. Looked like they were just off. Judy was going one way and Drew threw it to a different spot. But another ball that could have been picked, then you take a sack, and it's third down and 29. And
what, 20 seconds left at that point?
With 20 seconds left. And then on fourth down, you do the thing
Throw it
that
out of bounds.
guarantees that nobody will have any chance whatsoever to catch the ball, which is throw it out of bounds.
I don't understand how that happens as a quarterback.
The whole process on that entire drive, to me, is just so bad from start to finish. It doesn't matter if you're a backup or not. You've been in the league for 3 years. You've got to be able to do better than
Plenty
that.
of starting experience.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Broncos, and I've talked about this on the other shows too. The Broncos are now 0-2. We've only had 2 games that were close enough for us to come back for the record. We either close enough for us to finish or close enough for us to come back. We've either gotten blown out or we've blown somebody else out by more than 2 scores. Like the entire season. The only other one was Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
We are 0-2 on attempts to come back with 1 drive to win the game.
Well, and the Browns, right?
And it is
Browns when we lost by 30. We lost 17-14 against the Browns.
Yeah, it was a close game, but I feel like that game was never really close.
No, the defense. Well, that's true.
I feel like we scored at the end, but it was already a 2-score game.
Yeah, you're right. And the defense, like that was the one time the defense did not come up with a stop when they needed to. To give us a chance. So I see what you're saying there.
But 2 drives, we had two chances on 2 drives to win the game. That's both these 2 games, the Pittsburgh game and this last game. And we just couldn't do it. And I felt like I knew it. I knew when we had the chance it was just going to be like, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I didn't think it was going to be a 4th and 30.
Right.
Like I thought maybe we'd get down to the 50-yard line, just do something stupid like throw a pick over the middle. But it's so disappointing.
We got all of Drew Lock. We got classic Drew Lock. We got some really good throws. We got the touchdown to Patrick, the deep shot to Patrick. And then, turnover-worthy plays. Whether he turned it all over or not, you had turnover-worthy plays and bad process.
Yeah, and hear me out. I want to love Drew Lock, and I did. Yeah. I that drive all the way down to the fumble. I was like, this is happening. This is the Drew Lock that we saw the last 4 games of last season. This is the Drew Lock that we know. He has great timing. He's figuring out how to get the balls. The speed on his. I know this is like super nerdy, but the speed on the ball that he's putting on it. And the rotation on the ball is getting exactly where the receiver is to catch it, to the point where even the Broncos receivers didn't know that it was coming. They'd turn around, the ball was already in their hands, which was amazing.
Right.
But then you go and make a stupid mistake. Like we got the whole roller coaster of Drew Lock, and I would just love it to not be a roller coaster. That's all.
And that's to Travis's question, and Travis thinks we can win out with Drew Lock. I just don't see it, guys. Because we're gonna get the same Drew Lock for the rest of it. We're gonna get up, down, and up and down, and
take away 50% of the mistakes Drew Lock makes. 50%. I just want half.
Yeah.
I just want half the mistakes, and we win games.
Well, what we're gonna get is gonna be good enough to go 1-2 over the last 3 games, and that's the way it's gonna be. So.
If we win 1 game, I would honestly be surprised if we win.
I don't know where that 1 win's coming from, except just odds that one.
It gives me. It's one of the. It feels like one of these next 3 is going to be like a really good Drew Lock game where like he does cut the mistakes by like 50%, and then the next game he'll make up for it and overcorrect into the mistakes again, and it'll still balance out.
Here's the funny thing, and John, I think I might be also turning into one of you now. The game we're going to, me and David are going to next week, also Drew Lock playing. So I've been at all the games that Drew Lock's been, or 2 of the games that Drew Lock's been in. But even the San Diego, oh wow, there it is. There it is. Los Angeles.
You know what's coming.
Even the hit the bingo card. Even the Los Angeles Chargers game, he went in there and made a mistake and fumbled the ball, but we recovered. And I think, David, that was the point where you were like, okay, we're going to win this game. And
Yep.
he turned to me like, he was like, we're going to win this game. Because it was like, okay, he made the mistake, but we were able to make up for it.
We got the first down. It was a third down play. We got a
Right.
first
Yeah, it was the third down play, and we got the first
He
down. It was
fumbled
like
for
the punt
4
block,
yards.
Or the, yeah.
And exactly. It was that Cowboys punt block all over again.
Just dumb luck hitting our
exactly.
favor.
If it goes in our favor, we'll win these games. That's why this season has just been so turn of the knife. We've talked about it all season long. We don't have to rehash it, but
even in general as a whole, if you look at the game as a whole, with all the small mistakes that we're obviously saying that, like, basically we should be scoring every drive, right? That's our mindset. But if you look at it as a whole, there's one play that separates the entire game other than the fumble. It's their touchdown play. Like, they don't get that play. They don't get that touchdown, that broken coverage.
Right.
And we're now still either tied or winning that game. We were winning at the time. We're winning that game if you don't have the blown coverage, and that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm never going to harp on the defense the way they played. They make one mistake, and the offense made plenty.
I'm sorry. You hold a team to 15 points, you should win the game.
100%. 100%.
That's it.
But if you look at it holistically,
Yeah.
you know, there's really, I mean, it really came down to who was going to have the big play, and it was them. And that's how that game ended, and that's why it was so close, and they just had the big play, and we didn't.
Well, we
don't
had
have
the big play.
capability.
We had the big play right before that from Patrick, which I don't think that was a great throw. I mean, yes, he gave Patrick an option to get it, but Patrick made an amazing play for that touchdown.
he did.
But I'll take that 9 times out of 10 because guess who we have on the outside? We have Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
He's either going to catch that ball or it's going to
Give
be
him the option.
incomplete. At least, I mean, and you know, Drew Lock came in and threw the ball right away, and we're like, "Thank you for taking a shot."
Yeah. Well, and I also have to give some credit to the Cincinnati defense because, man, they played faster and more, tenacious defense than we've seen. I think they played better than Kansas City on defense.
They were destroying our offensive line.
Right. It was pretty impressive just to watch, the Bengals play competent football at any level. So just wanted to, give them a shout out.
The Broncos tend to allow other teams to look competent. So
it's true.
That's our
true.
thing this year.
Our forte.
Other not competent teams, though, it's never like the
Right,
competent teams that we're like making, like, even against the Chiefs, we were like, okay, we're keeping up pretty well. It's the not competent. It's the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals that we're making look freaking.
Well, while I'm giving shout outs, shout out Pat Surtain for smothering Jamar Chase.
Oh yeah.
Except for snaps where he was smothered by Baron Browning. I don't know if you guys have seen that GIF, but anyway, completely shut down Jamar Chase in this game to this secondary. So I have to think Surtain played a pretty big part.
Yeah.
Another game where our rookies dominate.
It says a lot about
Browning
the future.
stepping in, being the lead guy with Kenny Young out.
We
have
absolutely.
This rookie class is just playing Miners, Williams, Browning,
and Jonas Griffith being all over the field too.
Jonas Griffith playing just
Where did that come
amazing.
from?
Yeah, really don't know, but big time.
When I saw Kenny Young was out, I thought we were totally screwed on defense. And then Browning, honestly, Browning showed up to me.
Draymond Jones too. No Draymond Jones, but we were still able to get pressure on a decent amount of this, a decent amount of snaps.
Yep.
Bradley Chubb
was
played
really
a little
good
bit
to see.
better, honestly.
There was the one, I don't know if you guys want to talk about it. There's the one play that he made that I was like, Bradley, come on.
Yeah, okay.
Man.
Yeah,
Even
I
as a
know.
Bronco
He
fan,
got away
I'm
with
like,
one.
Dude,
He got away with one.
it.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, you gotta be a little smarter than that. But he was playing better this game. I think he had a couple of impressive run stops. His pass rush reps looked a little bit better. Just work back into form, Bradley. Come on now.
Right.
Yep. Agreed.
Go back to the Drew Lock situation just a second. Obviously, Drew Lock's playing this week. Now, have they said if he's playing the remainder of the season or not?
No word yet.
So, me personally, I wouldn't mind if Drew Lock goes in for the remainder of the season. More than anything, just for Teddy's health.
Mhm.
Like, dude, the way you went down, there's nothing for you to gain really by going out there at this point. Like, you're not going to save the team, like, I don't know. At this point, it's why put Drew back why put Teddy back in there?
Drew Lock has gotten more chances than I've ever seen.
And it's not to give Drew a chance. It's not to give Drew a chance.
No. But listen to me. He had a chance to be, the first time Bridgewater went out. He had a chance to go in. He screwed it away. And then the next game,
Agreed.
Bridgewater's a starter again. And then he goes out a couple weeks later and goes in there, screws it away. He goes in last week, screws it away. And now he has a chance to be a full-time starter with a full practice squad reps, which is what everybody's been complaining about. He sets his own destiny right now. I would not be surprised if we win next week against the Raiders in Las Vegas. If we beat those guys with Drew Lock at the helm, I could see Drew Lock being the starter the week after, even if Teddy Bridgewater's cleared from concussion protocol. Because at that point, you ride the hot hand. And now Drew Lock's entire career is in his hands for this next game, and he has the weapons to do it. So does he take advantage, or is he never going to be a starter again? And I think that's the storyline as we go into next week.
Fair.
Jared, I think to you and me that makes sense. But if we win this week, hypothetically, which again, that's a big hypothetical to me at this point. But if we win this week and Teddy's healthy, then the next week, I think Fangio goes back to Teddy, thinking that's going to give him a better opportunity to win.
But
I'm sure not eliminated from the playoffs at that point.
Yeah,
if
I'm sure.
Luck makes no mistakes. Oh, okay, by no mistakes, I mean no turnovers and maybe no fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they trust
leads
Drew
a team
over
and
Teddy
we win.
at all.
Ah, man.
I don't think
you think they're
trust
really just giving up on him.
Yeah.
But so regardless though, on that aspect, now he's building his capital for being a starter in this league anywhere. Now if he goes out there and throws another dud, he's done. Like I've never seen so many opportunities given to a quarterback at this point.
Yeah.
No, I think we're spending too much time talking about. I don't know about too much time, but we're spending a lot of time talking about. Right? Yeah.
David,
we're talking
you always
about.
Do this when I'm talking about something I'm passionate in. Deshaun Hamilton.
Yes, Deshaun Hamilton.
Lock,
We're not going to do the Deshaun Hamilton thing again tonight, Jared. We're not doing it. Not doing 5 more minutes on Deshaun Hamilton.
Why not?
But to the speaking of Deshaun Hamilton. Drew Lock's a guy who's not going to be in a Broncos uniform next year. And that's the way it's going to be. He, like Jared said, he's building his audition tape somewhere for somebody. But that's what this chance is for him to do. Because
I think I disagree. He could be in a Broncos uniform next year, depending on what coaching staff we have coming in.
I don't think Peyton's on board with Locke, and Peyton's the only one that's going to be around.
Right.
As far as coaches and front office goes.
Absolutely. Oh, you think it's Peyton that's calling him?
Well, I would say this. I think Teddy Bridgewater is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year, and I think there's a better chance of him being a Broncos quarterback next year than Drew Lock.
I agree with David on that one.
Yeah, and that leads right into this.
Veteran.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
But again, like let's talk about this. Like, so Teddy Bridgewater is a veteran backup to maybe a rookie. If we pick up a rookie, Teddy Bridgewater starts a little bit until he gets hurt inevitably, and then the rookie steps in. Or we get somebody like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson to come in, and now we got Drew Lock sitting behind Russell Wilson for a full year.
I don't see that happening. I don't see us re-signing Lock.
No, me neither.
Not Lock.
It's done.
Teddy.
Yeah, Teddy. Yeah, I think Lock's done, Jared. I would
see Teddy more a quicker backup to an Aaron Rodgers than Lock.
Lock comes in, wins the final 3 games, we make the playoffs. And he's just throwing darts, and he's just he's putting up 350 yards a game, 4 touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy has a comeback player of the year, like in the second half. Like we're just absolutely destroying, and Drew Lock is at the helm.
No,
now our coaching staff is back. Like, who knows what happens to that?
I can't. There are some hypotheticals I will not entertain because they are so far outside the bounds of reality.
4%.
No, I'm done here. We're done here. Next,
If Drew Lock gives us that 4%, he's staying. I'm all on it. And honestly, that's what I want. With orange and blue goggles, that's what I want to see. I want to see
what
Drew
kind
Lock
of hat?
in here. I want him to throw 350 yards this week. David, we're at the game. I want to see him throw 350 yards.
Yeah, all of us want him to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared, don't you and I have a bet, a hat bet from this Bengals game?
We do. Unfortunately, in Vegas, I have to wear a puffball the entire game.
That's right, for the entire game. That's right. So yeah, Jared. Yeah, we had to bring that up right now.
I'm trying. I'm trying to stay optimistic. I'm trying to be that guy. I want to see our guys succeed, no matter who it is.
Well, obviously we all do, but
there's
you're only hurting yourself.
Fine,
You're
you
only
guys are
hurting
being
yourself.
realists, I guess. I don't know.
It's one. It seems like Team Visor's getting a little bit smaller here, but also if we go out and kill it because you're wearing the puffball, you can't take that puffball off.
You know what? That's a fair point.
That's 100% for
You
the case.
might have to continue to wear the
Whose side
puffball
are you
until it.
on?
Here, no.
I'm not on
let's-
either side.
I really want to see how willing you are to make your own premonition of Drew Lock winning out and carrying us to the playoffs come true. How
I'm
committed
I'm
are
making
you?
a declaration. If Drew Lock goes out and wins this game and doesn't have any turnovers, that's the
No
important piece.
turnovers.
If he has no
What if we win
turnovers,
40-0 and he has one turnover?
if we win 40,
What
if it's a blowout, then yeah, absolutely, I'll wait. But I will wear the puffball for the rest of the season until he shows me wrong that it's like okay, like this didn't work.
Okay.
So-
all right.
so one
then the
game,
next,
okay.
yeah. So the next game when he throws 3 picks, all bets
No.
are off. Okay.
No,
Well, yeah,
because
then-
then we're making
then-
the playoffs. And next thing you know, I'm wearing it well into January.
Ugh.
And
Gross.
yeah,
Well, you got to ride. Didn't you say you got to ride the hot hand, right?
right. You got
If he makes it,
Sounds like you're wearing it into January.
if he brings it to the Super Bowl, that means you're on Team Puffball, right? That means you.
absolutely. If
Okay.
if
You know
there's
what?
any
I don't
chance
care
the
if I'm the
Broncos
only
go
one
to
in
the
Team
Super Bowl,
Visor. I will continue the tradition.
Fair enough.
I appreciate you staying Team Visor, and I'll probably come back next year. But if we go to the Super Bowl, I might permanently turn Team Puffball.
You have to. At that point, you'll have to.
at that point, I just no other.
I need to go vomit. Hold on, I'll be back. I'll be back.
What's the percentage of us making the Super Bowl?
Oh, it's way down
Are
there.
you kidding me?
It's way down there.
One, if we even get into playoffs, and two, you see us winning any playoff games? Come on.
I'm gonna look it up, and while we're in Vegas, and we'll make it a Ragers.
It's smaller than Jared's mustache.
Oh yeah.
Mhm,
You know what? That's fair.
No.
It's not non-existent, but it's very, very, very,
Wispy.
very, very small. Very
Wispy.
small.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about this though. The Broncos are on the road. They got Drew Lock. The Raiders are trying to get into the playoffs themselves though too.
Yep.
You know, the Raiders have a lot to play for, a lot on the line. So, you know, again, not to kind of spoil the pregame podcast at all, but what are you guys looking for there? Because I fully expect these guys to go out there, and if both teams are going to say that, hey, we're going to play lights out because it's a playoff game for us, I believe that the Raiders are going to do that, and I believe that the Broncos are going to show up and probably fall flat.
Yeah. It's going to be, so it's a different pass defense right now than it was when we played the Raiders the first time this season. Outside of that, I don't really know what else there is that would give Broncos country major reasons for optimism. Jared is the
Jared
optimism
gives me
man.
optimism.
I
So,
do.
Yes,
I
Jared,
have some
Jared's
ideas
got it.
because when we played them earlier in the season, we decided that we were going to play with the original Shermer offense, which was throw the ball everywhere and don't worry about the run game. But now we have a great run game going. Kev, are you okay with
You
it?
right?
I'm good.
All right.
You
cool.
really got him excited
So-
to talk about the run game.
I do. Yeah. Oh, he had to take a time. Okay. Yeah. So So now we got the run game, and we have a run game going with two guys that are just playing absolutely amazing football in the run game. I think we can control this clock and win it. And I thought the same thing against Cincinnati. And honestly, that's why I said it. That's why I said that one big play, that one big touchdown on defense. You know, our run game, controlling the clock, we kept the ball out of their hands, was all good. But I think we control the clock. I think we can run all over this Raiders defense and not have to worry on the pass as much. And with Drew Lock in there and knowing how how Vic Fangio and Shermer feel about Drew Lock in the first place, we're going to be running the ball a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the difference maker in this game.
The problem there is that the Raiders know that we're going to be running the ball a lot. I mean, that's what they have to expect with Lock. Like, they want Lock to throw, don't they? Don't they want Lock to throw?
If we know, they probably know.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I just think there's going to be a lot of pressure. Like, I don't know. Well, I will say this, though. The last Raiders game was maybe the worst game of the season for the Broncos. So it can't be as bad, in my opinion. Even though we only lost by 10, but it was a blowout before that point.
Sure, we could. Of course, we could. Come on.
I know. Sorry. That was me being optimistic that we won't lose as bad.
Well, there you go.
I love it
As
because
bad.
but it's Drew Lock, so we could win by 3 touchdowns,
We could.
or we could lose by 4. It could. It's going to be a really, really interesting one. I'm at least if we're going to this Raiders game, like, man alive, the storylines, they're going to be fire. Absolutely fire.
I can't wait for the interception followed by the big 60-yard touchdown catch. And then followed by a fumble, followed by a 30-yard touchdown. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait for it.
Absolutely.
The Drew Lock roller coaster starts now.
Right now.
Well, all those plays were Drew
Oh,
Lock.
it's already-
I was very confused who was making those plays.
No, 100% Drew Lock. Yeah, no, I
okay.
expect
Just
a
going
couple
the other
interceptions,
way
a couple
every
fumbles, and a couple touchdowns. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions is my expectation.
Wow. Okay.
I think
that was actually.
3
If
touchdowns.
you guys
in
didn't
this
catch
game.
on to it, that was actually my interpretation of what the Broncos did on Sunday. They were.
I
So,
see.
It all comes
Interpretive.
full circle, I see.
Yes.
Interesting. Really interesting.
I just broke Jared.
That happens at least once a show.
That's true. Guys, I just don't know. I want to be optimistic about this.
Why?
I want to be.
Oh, you want to be optimistic.
I want to be, but I just can't, man.
That was it. That was the game, guys. That was the game.
That was it.
Oh my.
That was it.
That was it. That was it.
That was it. And you know, it's fine to talk about percentages, this, that, and the other thing, but you know, even if the Broncos magically won those 3 games, would any of you have these final 3 games? Would any of you have any real faith that once they got to the playoffs, that suddenly it's all fixed? That suddenly they're consistent team now, and anybody who's playing them in that first round better watch out.
No.
Like, yeah.
But just because how weird the AFC has been this year and so inconsistent,
Sure.
a lot of teams have been.
Sure.
Never know, maybe you do sneak a game in, but yeah, it would not be expected. To your point.
I mean, the way it is right now, if we snuck into the last spot, but everything else at the top of the AFC stands the same, we'd probably be playing the Patriots in that first game in New England.
Yeah,
I don't like my chances there.
Yeah.
But that's different. So here's 2 things. 2 things. One, no, I
How many
absolutely
things?
I do not think. I said 2. David, can you just okay?
Okay.
Because you said here's the thing, and then you went to 2 things, and
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm
I
just trying to
want to
keep up
talk
with
about
the
a couple
number.
things, David. Let me talk about a couple, and not.
Oh, now it's a
everything,
couple of
John.
things.
Okay, no, it's a
Well, that's
couple.
still
It's
2.
2 means a couple things. Okay, so first thing is absolutely. I do not have faith that we'll make it past the first round. However, I'm also sick and tired of not making the playoffs.
Yep.
I think just in general. I mean, they expanded the playoffs and we still can't make it. It is absolutely unreal that the Broncos have not made the playoffs since we won a Super Bowl. I don't know. I'm going to have to hit up Pro Football Focus because they have these kind of stats. But when was the last time a team won a Super Bowl and missed the following 6 playoffs in a row? Like, seriously.
It's been a minute, probably.
Probably never. I want to say I don't think I've ever seen.
I don't know, never, but maybe never.
I mean, it's very rarely that a team wins a Super Bowl and misses the playoffs. I remember like the year after we missed the playoffs. I remember them saying like there's only been a handful of teams that miss the playoffs the year after they won the Super Bowl.
No, that I feel like that actually happens all the time.
Yeah, I think that's you're off on that one, Jared.
Yeah, I think you're missing that
Pretty
one.
sure it's a
but-
handful.
Yeah, sure, but whose hands?
I guess it depends how big your hands are, maybe.
Kevin's hands,
Of a
or
big
like
hand.
like a normal hand, or even bigger hands than that. It depends on whose hands.
Yeah. Good point. Good dialogue there. That's great.
Absolutely.
I'm just sick and tired of not making the playoffs. At this
I
point,
think you're alone in that sentiment, Jared. I think
everybody else in Broncos country is fine with it.
Okay.
Like I'm not expecting Super Bowl this
We're
year.
happy.
Absolutely not. I mean, even previous to that game when I thought we could have won that game and our chances were 75% to make the playoffs, I was not expecting. Nobody was expecting Super Bowl this season, but just some sort of hope that we have a team that could be competitive at the higher levels.
But see, for me, the way I see this, the talent we have on this team, you
should
get the
be.
right coaching staff to build the right culture in there, and you get the right quarterback in there. And this team's, I mean, it's not like we're the Lions, you know? I mean, we have the talent. We have the pieces on the field there. We just got to get somebody to come in and build the right culture, run the right, build up the right coaching staff, get a competent quarterback in there and a consistent quarterback in there.
It's like
we're there.
Arby's. We have the meats. We need the right crew.
That's not the
To
same.
put the sandwich together?
Put that sandwich together. You gotta assemble it.
You know what? There you go.
They have the meat.
You walk into Subway, and everything's laid out
No,
there.
not Subway.
But
No. Nobody's
you
going to
have-
Subway.
No, they put
Let's
plastic
keep
bread.
Subway
Jimmy
out of this
John's.
analogy.
Okay.
Arby's. Are you saying that Arby's only had the first half of the slogan? They just didn't publicize the rest. Is that what you're saying, David?
No,
They
what
have
I'm
the meat.
saying
Just
is
don't have
There
We
it.
might
have
be
the meat,
frozen
just
and
no
in the
one
back,
to
but they have
assemble
it.
it.
it takes the correct assembler of the meats. You can't just get any old crew back there. You've got to get the right employees getting back there. Oh, this one's responsible for the sauces. This one over here's got the cheeses. You've got to meld those responsibilities. That's what I'm saying. It's teamwork.
So
here.
what I'm hearing you say is we need to open up an Orange Weekly run Arby's, because that thing would be the best running Arby's out there.
I'm saying right
What
now.
David's
Say what
saying
the
is our
wings would
coaching
be better.
staff can't even run an Arby's.
Well, I mean, that is obvious. Like that's why I didn't.
John's closer.
I
than
didn't
all
say
of us.
that out loud
That's the
because I
moral
thought
of
that
the
was
story.
obvious.
As per
Good call. The
usual.
moral of the story is our coaching staff couldn't even run Arby's. Yeah, Tom McMahon's Arby's. I'm not going to. Let's be honest.
The thing is, we're 7-7, and our offense has looked garbage for most of these games. I think that talks to our talent. The fact that this team, the way we talk about them, it feels like they are the Lions. They are 3-11 or something like that. But we are 7-7, and actually only one game out of a playoff spot. But it seems so far away to even be close to that.
Yep. Well, any
John, just like
right.
you sent all of us in deep thought.
yeah,
You
really,
sent all of
yeah.
us in like a.
Yep. And
We're
it's
all-
like, yeah.
We're
bring
all
it
a little
back
bit-
and just.
We're all in the holiday mode. We're contemplative. We're all a little drunk. It's
You're
like,
thinking
damn,
about
John.
beef. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, when am I not
keep
thinking
talking
about
about meat, David?
Yeah.
You're consistent.
When is he not
meat talk.
talking about meat?
Is
Really?
I
This
mean,
is true.
did I
This is
wake
not
up
just a
this
holiday
morning in a world where meat is bad, where meat's not delicious? Like, what are we talking about here, guys? Really?
You have a good point, David. I can't argue with your point.
Jared and I are going to eat what I would assume is a prodigious amount of beef in the coming week or so. So you better get used to the idea, especially Jared, of enjoying large portions of meat with me. Anyway, we've got another good question from Travis, circling back to football.
Yes.
Off of culinary delights.
Yes.
What are our thoughts on Elway leaving and Joe Ellis as well after this year? Joe Ellis, I think, is a really interesting person as far as people leaving the Broncos go. You know, we talk about John Elway, this, that, and the other thing. We talk about coaches departing. We talk about the ownership a lot. But I think people tend to forget that Joe Ellis is leaving after this year, and he has had a huge impact on the trajectory of this team and what it's been in the post-Peyton Manning era. That's going to be an incredibly important position for the Broncos to fill going into next season. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I mean, the big thing that circles around that is the ownership in general, and what that all. I mean, there's so many variables there. It's hard to say.
Let's sit here, Kev. Let's just believe, and I feel like there's a 90% possibility. At the end of next year, we're still going to have zero idea of who the owner is going to be. We're going to be in the same situation this time next year as we are right now.
Okay.
We're going to have zero idea. So with Joe Ellis just being like, "Fuck it, I'm out." What's your thought process?
See, my thought process is with him making that announcement, maybe he was preemptively doing that with a new owner coming in and shaking things up anyways. Maybe he just felt like he needed to leave anyways. But
now we also
I think a big part of this is remember, Joe Ellis may be the president of the Pat Bowlen Trust, but that doesn't mean that the Pat Bowlen Trust is just him.
Right.
Like there's legit a committee of people that are in charge of his trust, and I think him stepping down is letting somebody else step up to kind of lead that legal proceedings, and it might be one of the Bowlen brothers.
So what we also saw this week was a report. I think it was CBS Sports put out a report that the sale of the Broncos may happen very quickly this offseason.
yeah,
And you know, they speculated it seemed like more speculation about Peyton Manning in an ownership group.
That is
than-
all just this time
right.
of year in rumors.
Yeah,
but yeah.
exactly.
So
So
we
that
just dream, Kevin, please, for once.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, he's not
Jared,
mathematically eliminated
okay.
from being a part owner of the Broncos.
Oh, it's all clickbait, man. You know I hate
I know, no,
clickbait.
I get it, but it's that to me the most serious part of that article that you probably could take away from it was the idea that the Broncos might be fast tracked as far as that sale goes, which would not surprise me. I think the NFL would really rather it happen quickly as opposed to drawing it out. So to me, that at least points in the right direction. And if that's the case, you could see some movement on these things like the Joe Ellis's position being filled very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Joe Ellis's position is going to be filled quickly by somebody to take over the Pat Bowlen Trust, but absolutely not part of the ownership, because the Pat Bowlen Trust technically owns the Broncos.
Right.
That's why Joe Ellis was so promising. That's why he controlled everything. The trust is what owns the Broncos right now, and the ownership deal is dependent on what happens with the trust and what happens with the his kid and what happens with the brothers and sisters.
Well, here's my question there, though. Is it his position on the team that puts him in the trust, or is it Joe Ellis on the trust? Like him stepping away, does that take him off the trust? You probably don't know that answer, but...
No, he might. I think he might just step down. He might stay on the trust. All he said was, "I will not be the president of the Pat Bowlen Trust next year."
Yeah.
He'll
Just
stick
because he
with
steps
the
away
Broncos.
doesn't mean there's someone else filling his spot on the trust decision.
And I
Well,
think
they
by
they
this
have
point
to.
they know who it's going to be.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. I mean, he wouldn't have stepped down if they didn't know who was going to take over. Somebody has to take over as the president of the trust, and all he's doing is stepping down as the president of the trust. Like he's still going to be there. Like, he's not walking away. He's not going to walk over across the street and get a job at Starbucks. Like he's.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference between the president position of the Broncos and the president of the trust. I don't think that's the same thing. I don't know. I don't know how the trust
right
is.
now. It is right now.
Yeah.
Because right now the trust owns the Broncos.
No, I hear
And
what you're
that's what's holding on to all these legal proceedings, because they want a figurehead. They want one of the sons or daughters to take over. But right now, the way that he wrote it in his, I don't know if his will or whatever it was, is that the Pat Bowlen Trust is what owns the Broncos currently.
Right.
So that's what he's stepping down. He's stepping down as the president of the trust, which means he's stepping down as basically the figurehead of the ownership of everything.
Well, I will put in my application because I think I would love to be a part of that at that level too. So
Breaking news here.
Right, yeah.
Big
Likes the
step.
Broncos.
I
Big
am
step, yeah.
officially announcing my running of the president of
From
the Pat
over-
Bowlen Trust.
Yes. From founder of Orange Weekly to president of the Broncos.
I knew running this podcast would pay off someday, man.
I vote for you. I just want a position on the team somewhere. I'll be
Well,
wild.
that goes without saying. You're all getting a job.
Nice.
You're all getting in the Broncos. It's
I
just
love
a
it.
I
matter of
love
where.
that.
Love it.
I'll get out of the Navy for that.
You have to apply,
Yeah.
interview.
Well, it can't
all
be
that
any
stuff.
favorites.
But
There's
well,
got to be a
no,
process to it.
Yeah.
You think we could start a GoFundMe to buy the Broncos?
You know what? I'm down. That'd be even better.
Absolutely.
Hey,
We've
the
got
Packers
enough.
did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
He
we've
does
got
a
enough.
GoFundMe, but
It's
Right,
supposed to
that's-
GoFundMe, but they're the only team in the NFL that's owned by the people, by a
for the people.
fans.
investments, by the people for the people.
Jared kind of knows what he's talking about here. Anyway,
Yeah, we got there.
yeah, it's a little bit.
See, thank you, Rob. Go public.
There it is. Go public.
Yeah,
but
Rob, you said it best.
right, because again, I'm not
By
entirely
the people,
sure
for
if
the people. We the people.
Yeah. See, Jared actually doesn't really know what "go public" means, but
Something about
he knew the phrase "go public" before that. He just couldn't remember it.
That's exactly what it was. I've had a few drinks.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, let's see. If Peyton, if he buys it, would he have any role in the front office? That's one thing. That's another kind of persistent rumor you've heard about Peyton Manning, is that he's just been connected to front office jobs in the past. You know, whether it's pure press speculation or not, in every single case, he's probably a guy who wants to take an active role somewhere. He loves the game. He wants to be around the game. He wants to do work in the game. Whether that would be with the Broncos, I don't think he's made any secret of the fact that the Broncos he thinks of as every bit as equally fondly as the Colts, if not more so. He would, I think, be more likely to join our front office than anybody else's. But it just, it's also a question of what can he do and how does he fit. You can't just be hiring him to say we hired Peyton Manning. He has to be doing something.
Yeah, and that's one of those levels of like the discussion between Manning and the front office is like, what do you want to do? Like,
do whatever you want. Just go out there.
Yeah, it's like,
right.
and it's kind of like the John Elway thing. Like, okay, hey, yeah, pick who you want to be on the team. Like, hey, you were a great player. You go pick whoever you want to be on the team and run all the scouts and be in charge of all the scouts and everything. And he was like, cool. Like, okay, so what does Peyton Manning do? And now Peyton Manning and John Elway have to work together and figure out what that concept is. Like, it's really easy to be like, hey, bring Von Miller back after he retires and be like, you run the team now. And it's really great because we love the name, but what is his strength?
Right.
I think it's going to be in coaching. Honestly, I think he's going to come back as a coach eventually. I don't think he's going to sit on the sideline. He's an amazing offensive mastermind. And I think him on the sidelines is better than him up in the box or him in a suit.
I really think that no matter what, he needs to keep this role of the Madden's rating adjuster. If you saw what he did to Tom Brady, I think that was incredibly accurate and spot on.
And we keep talking about this, but he's making a lot of money right now.
Yeah,
right?
Between all of his sponsorships and the Manning cast that he's got going on, he's making a shit ton of money to sit back and just talk football for all these people. Like, he's making. Why would he go be a front office guy?
I think he's enjoying life right now. It's just entertaining.
Right.
I don't.
Just being himself.
Yeah.
And let's keep in mind too, like when Elway came in, it's not like they just picked up Elway off the street. Oh, you're not doing anything. Like, he had been trying to get into a position like that with bowling for a long time. He was running the
Crush, the Colorado Crush.
Yeah, Crush. Like, he was running that to prove that he could do it, and that's how he eventually got hired. Manning's out there hosting ESPN's Monday Night Football, which is hilarious, by the way.
It is.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Peyton Manning can do what he wants to do until he wants to do something else. So he's not in any rush to take a job that he, because I feel like he can get a sweetheart deal from somebody, but he, if he wants to wait for the job with the organization that he wants to work with, he can do Monday Night Football for a couple years in the meantime.
And let's be honest. What's better, being stressed out because you're running an organization, everyone's judging you, or sitting back and making jokes at people when you're watching a football game? Like,
right. Picking on your brother.
Yeah, picking on your brother and eating fucking nachos while watching a football game on live stream and making millions doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's in a perfectly fine position.
What I love most about that too is like the production is not good for that show.
It's not.
Pretty awful.
But it's hilarious.
I love it.
Half the time they're in the middle of a sentence when they go to commercial, but no one cares. They're just like,
Nobody cares.
I love it. And their interviews are just the most off the cuff questions. Like, there's just
Eli's
just like, hey man, what do you like when you poop? Do you wipe forward to back or back to forward? Like, it's just like the most ridiculous questions on their stuff. I love every second of it.
Eli's been on screen like flipping the bird. Somebody said fuck, like on live TV, and they're just whatever.
They're doing what we want to do professionally and making so much money doing it.
Right.
Like, I would love to just sit in my living room and just talk shit about football on live television and make so much money off of it.
I'm just going to throw this out there to any ESPN executive listening to us. We would do that for a 10th of the percentage of that,
absolutely.
The Mannings are doing it for. So,
well, okay,
I'll change my name.
And we're only like a third as entertaining. So, like, that's really good value.
It's a really good value.
Really good value.
Yes.
Well, they've got Monday night covered with the Manning brothers, so we'll do Thursday night.
Right.
We'll just
That's
do
fair.
that alternative broadcast for Thursday Night Football. I'm in.
We'll do the Sunday game that no one ever wants to watch anyway, and we'll be perfectly fine with it.
So the Broncos
just for the record, understand that by the fourth quarter, we will be probably making a lot of mistakes and drunk off our ass.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the point.
I mean, we're going to start out making a lot of mistakes, but yeah, drunk off your ass by the end of it, yeah.
I'd like to have an excuse, though. That's the point.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Hey, let's do some closing thoughts really quickly. Remember, we are going to Orange Weekly backstage on YouTube only immediately following this. So as soon as this show ends, hop on over to our YouTube channel. We'll be live there, just hanging out, drinking some beer, some whiskey, whatever, and having some good times. So, but John, let's start with you, man. Just some closing thoughts there. What you got?
God, I hope we win this week. My best friend is coming into town. He's a Raiders fan, and
Why is he your best friend?
I honestly don't know. I asked myself that. Like,
Kevin over there got really jealous when you said best friend. By the way, I don't know if you saw that.
Excuse me, who's your best friend?
He's one of my best
What?
friends. Go with that. He's one of my best friends.
Okay.
Also accurate statement. And it'd be really nice to rub it in his face if we can beat them this week. But sadly, I have zero faith. So then again, I will be drunk off my ass in the fourth quarter. Probably regardless.
Yep.
I hope that Drew Lock comes out and throws for 350 yards, and I have to wear a beanie with a puffball on the top of it, like a girl, for the rest of the season.
Did that hurt, David?
No, but
I feel like that hurt you.
it didn't. It didn't hurt me. I didn't understand why it was necessary to add it. Like,
I understood. Jared, I appreciate it.
Going back to the episode where I pointed out that the visors had men visors and no puffballs for men. It was all women's beanies.
yeah, right.
Just wanna make sure
You've gone to
pointing
that
out.
sexist and also incorrect factually point a couple of different
No,
times
I'm
here.
just going off the Broncos.
Incorrect
Broncos
factually.
website.
Right. It's not correct. There's both.
Yeah.
It's
Either factual or it's incorrect. It can't be factually incorrect.
Yeah, it can
For
actually.
every
It can.
game that Drew Lock does not make a mistake and we win, I will sew on another puffball.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was going to say, maybe you were looking
I
in the wrong
don't think
section.
you're going to get
You
very
only look
far.
for single puffball. You had to be looking for double.
Right. Now, maybe if I just end up with 4 puffballs by the end of it, and we're going into the playoffs because even though we have 4%, we win all the rest of our AFC West games. But I'm also a realist and understand that my heart hurts, and that black hole that was created in this last game of a must-win at home was just not there. Like I still
This
don't
one really
get
took
it.
a toll on you. A black hole opened up inside of your
A
body.
black hole of a heart right now.
That's,
I want to have
impressive.
so much optimism, but like I'm also starting to look at next season already, which is not a good sign.
Ugh.
I know. I know.
Here
So
we go
But hey,
again.
guess what? We're going to be here next season. So that's
So-
we
True.
hear every season.
I'll
is true.
say this. This is probably the latest in the season that we haven't already started looking towards next season.
This is factual for
Facts.
you as well. This is
No,
factual.
facts.
We got that going for us.
This is factually correct.
Yes. So
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Yep. There I am. If you guys are in Vegas, hit us up. Hit us up in the DMs. DM us. That's the thing, right? That's how we're saying it.
We're in the DMs. Yes.
A bunch of the Orange Weekly, me, Dave, Ray, and Rob will all be in Vegas. So hit us up and meet us up for a drink or two. And yeah.
See, those are my final thoughts. Win or lose, I'm going to be rip-roaring drunk for this Vegas game. It's going to be good times. We are going to have a fun vacation. And since I'm already dead inside and willing to accept any outcome, it's like it's all gravy for me at this point,
You can
guys.
only win at this point.
Yes, I can only, unlike in the casinos, I can only win. I am playing with my own house money at this point, and it's a beautiful thing.
Aren't you always playing with your own house money?
Oh, yeah.
David, at
Oh,
what
yeah.
point in the season? I legit
Oh,
asked, and
yeah.
I'm gonna have to go
Almost
back and listen to the
confident
podcast.
in that. Oh, yeah.
What point in the season was it like dead inside? Like at
About
what game?
Eagles, right?
Was it
It
Eagles?
was
Before the Eagles, I think.
no, I think it was
No, it was
while
Eagles.
we were watching that Ravens game,
Oh, jeez.
and just
Ravens.
Week 4?
yeah,
That early?
maybe
Three
even
or
no, maybe not
No,
that
it
early,
was
'cause
Eagles.
I had
It
faith.
had to have been Eagles.
No, what was so it was? I can't remember the
Steelers?
orders of
It
these
was Eagles
losses.
and bye week.
It was Ravens. How did we? It went Ravens.
Ravens,
what?
Steelers.
Steelers, Raiders, Browns.
Oh, it was the Raiders game.
That
No, it was
4-game
Ravens
losing
game.
streak
Oh,
was-
Raiders.
It was in the middle of
I
that
see
Raiders game where you're like, oh, wait a minute. We can't even be. The Raiders just went through this whole scandal. We thought, oh, it was that next
Oh,
week.
we lost to their backup coach.
Right, the backup coach. Yeah, that was it for me. That was that. At that point, I was like, nope, if you got out coached by that guy, it's not our year.
And
In
Sting's
Denver,
even
of
won it.
all
It's their
places.
special teams coordinator.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We've already talked. we
Oh,
gotta move on.
fire Fangio and promote Tom McMahon to interim head coach. Boom. I'm gone. Bye.
There.
Yep, he was right there. He knew
Yeah.
that was
Oh,
coming.
you're only about 10 seconds too late with that one.
You don't make those statements without getting removed. All right, Kev,
Yeah,
what are your final thoughts?
No, a lot of what you guys already said. Look, just enjoy that Broncos football is still on TV for a few more weeks. And wherever you're watching the game, you guys in Vegas or people traveling for the holidays, whatnot, safe travels. Enjoy the people you're with, and just try to enjoy the game as best you can, no matter the outcome. Even though it's probably going to be an ugly one, but we'll see. But more importantly, again, Orange Weekly backstage, we'll just be talking about some random bullshit and other fun stuff, just off the cuff whatevers. But head on over to our YouTube channel and we'll be live there in just a couple of minutes. So appreciate all of you guys tuning in, all the comments, all the viewers. Jared, John, David, you're fantastic as always. So thanks everybody. And well, I guess we can just end it on a strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Broncos.
Do what I like, yeah, do what I like, yeah, do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know